I'm Mr. Steve, and I'm glad you're here. I've been doing Blender now for like 2.5 years. Absolutely fell in love with it. From the first day, when I was messing around and I figured out you could hit G, then you could hit I to inset and E to extrude, I was hooked because I love building things with my hands. I'm an HVAC technician by trade, but definitely moving into the realm of 3D. And what do? I don't just make tutorials with updates and quick tips, which is one of the things I do, but I make add-ons. I've been teaching myself as much Python as I can. I've also been doing the majority of my work through, well, I'll say this, now it's at 50% scripting, it's at 50% Serpent's add-on creator. And so that node-based system is something I'm so familiar with because I love geonodes and add-ons save time. And what I'm about to show you guys now is an add-on that is kind of something I've been working on for like the last couple months, and it's starting to hit like the peak where I think it's going to be very useful. I've already submitted it to Blender Market, and if you guys are interested in vertex, edge, and face control add-ons that are going to not only manipulate the interface to give you better visibility, but do bulk operations that you cannot do by yourself. Doesn't exist natively in Blender with multi-vertex selection via proximity. And so that's what we're going to be focusing on. So come on in, and I am sticking back with some of the long form and the real intro stuff because I think a lot of people, especially new people, give up, or professionals like to go back to Maya, back to Cinema 4D, back to some of these other softwares without realizing the full potential of Blender. So come on in. I'll put a link in the comments for not only this add-on, but you can get a bunch of free add-ons on my Patreon, so there'll be a link for that, and you can also join in absolutely free into the Discord. Who would charge for that anyways? But you can get in my Discord and get help with any of the add-ons you've picked up that I have made, and troubleshooting be one of my gifts. I might be able to help you with some other things too, but come on in, let's get started. Now, the biggest thing that you want to be able to do is manipulate your mesh, right? So you got one modifier, or you can just throw on like 3 or 4 modifiers and waste your time. But this is called Gavo. And I came up with this idea a little bit ago when I was like, how can I just grab any vertex I want and organize it? So grab any vertex organizer, Gavo. Now, what you have to do, and it's pretty simple, there's only 2 sections here. One is the Gavo section. This is going to give you the option to not only create a named modifier, custom, whatever you want to do with it, and you can upload the vertex group automatically. You can change the vertex colors for the unselected, and then if by chance something becomes selected, you could change the colors for those for visibility options. It's going to be extremely important and very useful. Here is a basic vertex display, so you do not necessarily have to jump over here to this area. You can stay here. The only option you have currently is to lock the vertex group, but you don't really need to do a whole lot. So now you can also change the vertex size. I think that's going to be very useful for visibility as well. Now what we want to do, and you can turn on statistics, get object count, total selected, cool things. We come down to the Gavo selection tools, and you'll have a proximity threshold. This is going to be based on your starting vertex. And that can be, I think, plural or singular, if you will. So let's grab something. I've got the show indices on so we can see the number. So if I come here, I'll see this is 81. I'm going to go ahead and lock in 81 and add a comma. Then I'm going to, let's bring that back, 81 comma, enter. And now I'm going to grab, let's see, the bottom one, that's 307. I'm going to add a comma, and then I'm just going to add a random one, doesn't matter. I'm going to go for 5 and hit enter. Now, if you see an error, that's because you hit a period or something else, and it doesn't read that. So you want to add in whatever amount that you wish. I'm actually going to bring the size down just a touch. It's a little intrusive. And now with these selected verts, you can see what happened. The add-on has already grabbed 5. It found it. 81, which we found, and 307, which we found. So now if I bring the threshold for proximity up, I could turn the indices off at this point so it doesn't slow down the viewport. You'll see we now have a proximity selection based on the location of the selected verts that we added in. And if you want, you can also go in and you can change this from vertex to edge and give an edge selection based on those same vertices. Now, if you don't like that, you can also do faces, and you can now select the threshold and the proximity of those faces. Now, here's the cool part. If we do this, I'll go back to vertex. If we do this and say, hey, group 1 is what I want. I've already got a group 1, so I'm actually going to go in here and delete group 1. Now there's no results. I have nothing. And with these selected, all I have to do is hit create new group. These are all now grouped. They're assigned to that vertex name. And all you have to do is go, hey, I got a simple deform, whatever. I name it, defo1, anything you want to name it. And then I just go ahead and click create name modifier. It's going to name it for me, and it's going to add the deform already. So now all I got to do is select G1. It's going to load that into the modifier. Now if we go back into object select, we will see that we now have an actual deform that is on those specific locations, those verts where we just selected them. Let's turn on cavity so we can see that maybe a little bit better. And you'll be able to see those different deforms. And they all are active at the same time. So here's where you would probably want to subdivide, add some different things to that. And then it doesn't stop there. You can pretty much do whatever you want. I've added a bunch of different modifiers. I think there's a couple more I got to add that have immediate vertex capabilities. And so you'll be able to add them in and do the same thing. Now, the cool thing is, I'm just going to delete that, grab another UV sphere. Let's say I go in and I go, okay, what's this indice? This is 87. So I come in here and I just type 87 and I hit enter, and I want to switch this to face. I can now get a proximity threshold for these faces and extrude them. And if I want to, say, increase that selection, everything's actually going to change. So you just added a whole bunch of verts to this. So now that's 485. Let's go back, just type in 485. And now I can control this section again. And if I wanted to, say, maybe extrude that out again just a little bit more for whatever purpose, perhaps maybe we go in and we generate a subsurf on that, give it a couple of levels and shade it smooth. You've already got something pretty cool that you can work with there, some sub-D modeling. Very cool, and you'll have the ability to do these type of things with the add-on. Now, you're asking, what is all of this junk? Why do you have all this here? Well, sometimes when people are doing some 3D modeling, they're doing something specific, they've got some type of proprietary thing they're doing, they're going to need that. So if you were to go in, and let's move my face a touch here, maybe a touch more, and we'll call this 64 verts. Actually, let's just call this 128. Doesn't matter to me. And I'm going to go in and throw in some loop cuts so we have a bunch of other things going on. All right, so back in vertex select what we're doing at this point, and I'll grab indice 802. Is it 602? It's hard to see. Maybe that's funny. Increasing the integer there actually kind of gave that a little bit of a background so I could see that that is 802. So that actually kind of helped out. And now we've got a nice proximity selection here. And the thing with this is that if you need to know which vertices they are for other purposes, you will have that and you'll be able to select them. And then, of course, don't forget, you can change the colors here. So like green makes sense there, maybe red makes sense, or you can go back to like a more of an original color scheme if you want. Do whatever you want with it. And then you can play around with your threshold. So whatever makes sense to you, you can do that. Play around with the add-on. I'm going to add even more features to this other than what you see currently. And if you guys have any needs or things like that, let me know. I can update this add-on. Like I said, it'll be on Blender Market this week. It's already on my Gumroad, so there'll be a link to go get that. And I appreciate you guys watching. I appreciate you supporting the channel with a like. Don't forget, you can jump into my Discord. You can jump on over to Patreon. If you do jump into the Patreon, for $1 a month, you can sub up and get a ton of add-ons. I'm adding my top tier add-ons to the $1. Not every one of them. The $5 gets the best ones, but hey, that's what you get, what you pay for. And so add-ons do save time, and when you are working with Blender, you really don't have time. Usually, if you're Fiverring, you're doing other things, you don't have time to do the 20 steps that my add-on will do for you like that. Not to mention all the importers, the lighting add-ons. I've got cracks, and I've got a few other things. I've got another APV selection tool, which is a proximity for objects, and some cool add-ons. This is one of my add-ons right now. This one's kind of doing the best, if you will, because what it does is it takes two objects and it just makes them non-manifold and joins them and removes all the garbage from the inside, as you can kind of see down here. And when that happens, you get a mesh object that is, by raycasting, doing a lot of work for you. Like these were two cubes, they're put together, then you can bevel it. Then you can update the mesh and you can do it over again and over and over and over and over again. And just to be transparent, I did notice there is a stepper add-on that actually has a conflict with bevel joints, and it's probably because they're both reading like a B-mesh or some type of module. They're reading one of the modules. I'm trying to work on this thing, but they're reading at the same time, and one is deleting the other one's data. So just be aware if you're using the stepper add-on that it has a conflict with that, and it's not going to work right now, but I will get that resolved. And so if you were to come in here and check out any of my other add-ons, I've got quite a few things that'll help you, and some of these are actually free with the monthly inside of the Patreon. So proximity detection, you've got a parenting add-on, that one's $1. You can go pick that thing up. Bevel joints, Click Proxy, which is just underrated if you ask me. I don't know why this thing hasn't sold like 10,000 copies, because you can just go through and instance everything you're seeing like that. You can do custom proxies. You can just bring them down. There's a decimate on it. There's all kinds of different things. It's really cool. And then Crack's Cell Simulation V3 is really cool. It's got a lot of different options for cracking your mesh and using Blender 3.6 and up to do simulation cracks, and it's cool. It's got strobe effects and a bunch of other things. But just so you guys can pick it up, I don't want to sound like a sales pitch, but if you don't know, now you know. Now you can get in there and get some good add-ons. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see y'all in the next one.